Hey guys, how is it going today? So today we're going to be looking at OmiseGo. Like the Backstreet Boys said, oh my god, we're back again! And a lot has happened, right guys, in the past week. I mean, OmiseGo, with all the hype, we pushed it up the pipe as if we were all swiping right. We lit it up like Tinder. Mr. Jun had so much fun with his blog, created so much fog, but all that it did was hinder. Made it turn to cinder, said my buddy Devinder. OmiseGo, though, it starts to show it's got some potential, making its way up to 6.9. It looks like it's going to be fine. It makes me so curious. In the last week, it was so weak, declining from its pyramid, or 6.9, just another great number ruined by a period. Bam! Drop the mic. Okay, guys. My friend told me before that 6.9 is just another great number ruined by a period. Shit. Oh my god, that makes me just. I need to get out more, guys. I don't get out enough. So let's take a look at OMG. I really want it to be my bro. Okay, guys, we're gonna take a look at this from a very complicated perspective this time. Okay. Woo! I got my big boy pants on. Hold on, guys. I'm still in my underwear. Let me get some pants on. Okay, I've got some boxers on now. Feels a lot better. We're gonna take a look at OmiseGo today, okay, guys, and we're gonna be pretty serious about this, and we're gonna do some crazy Elliott Wave counting right now, okay? And we're not gonna approach it, because what I usually do, guys, is I look at things from one perspective, and then if it fails, we have to analyze it from a different perspective, right? And that's really, really important as a trader to do. And last time, the way we looked at it was from this perspective of A, B, C, D, and E, right? We did basically A. Yeah, I think I drew it like that or something like that. I can't even remember how I did it. Hold on, I'm gonna try to remember how I did it last time, okay? I think it was like that. Yeah, I think it was like that, and I did on the daily chart, just to catch up everyone, all right? Yeah, I did it like that last time, right? Yeah, I remember now. I drew it like this: A, B, C, A, B, C, and then D, and then here, right? Which is a perfect symmetrical A, B, C, D, E, right? This one was still on the uptrend, and this one was part of this correction here still, so I didn't count it. And then on the breakout, of course, when it touches E, which made sense, right? People went into a long position. And then if we zoom in even closer on the 4-hour chart, we can see it hovering above this. So usually what was a resistance, it then turns to a support, right? And then it tried really hard to break out of it once it attempted this E. But this theory is now completely discarded, okay? So now the way we're gonna look at it is through an Elliott Wave perspective. And you guys know how I feel about Elliott Wave. Okay, guys, we're gonna look at it from a very complicated perspective. And I hope if you guys have any questions, leave your comments below, okay? So Elliott Wave will usually have an A and a B and a C correction, right? Like that, okay? We're on a 4-hour chart right now, just so you guys, actually, let's go to a different chart. First of all, I want to go over ETP chart with you guys, okay? Let's look at ETP, USD, OPP. Yeah, you know me. Okay, we are going to look at here, okay? What you notice after it hit 0.5 is that, I know my charts are so messy. This is so awesome. I predicted this like 48 hours ago, and it's literally falling into the exact same plan. I knew someone who went long at 360, and I told her to get the fuck out of there because I knew it was going to hit in the $3 range, and look at this price right here, okay? So I'm pretty proud of myself for doing this amazing analysis, and it worked out. But anyways, let's take a look at ETP first of all. It's important, and I'll show you guys why. This has a very relevant point, okay? So hold on, let me just plug in my phone. It's about to die. So what we noticed about ETP is that it made an ABC correction right here, okay? ABC, if you're following. Now, every time it makes an ABC correction, it tries to start its primary wave 2, right? This is primary wave 1 going up. This is the 2 correction, and it attempts to break it right here and go upwards. But it just couldn't get any respectable RSI levels, so it needed something called an extended correction. Now, what an extended correction is instead of breaking out to a wave 2 position, we actually only get to a peak point, right? And then once it gets to a peak point, it starts downtrending and we call it X. And then after X, it starts another ABC correction, we can call it, okay? And then what happens, guys, once it hits point C, it attempts to break out to wave 2, right? And then from X to Y, we call it down here, it actually tries to make it into an ABC correction again, right? And then after it gets to the point C, or we call it Y, it tries to break out. And surely enough, it did. And what we do is draw a resistance line from right here, okay? From B to X and just go through. And that's the point that it needs to break, but we can see very clearly that it didn't break it. And because it didn't break it, what ends up happening is it reaches another point called X. And then it starts an ABC correction again, which that's how I was able to predict exactly down to the wave count. I drew this literally 48 hours ago, guys. And that's how accurate it is, okay? Go check out my ETP analysis for the past few days. And then now when it gets to point C again, we call it Z. And this right here is called a double Elliott Wave combo, okay? And then once it gets to point Z, it will absolutely 100% attempt to make it to wave 2 finally. Why am I bringing this up? Because OmiseGo is a little bit behind right now than ETP, okay? It's a little bit behind right now, and it's actually following pretty much the identical wave structure, okay? I'm going to show you guys, and it's going to be mind-blowing how identical it is. So this is A, okay? This is B, and then this is C, right? And here it tries to break out into a C position, right? But it just couldn't do it. In fact, it ended up peaking right here instead, okay? You guys see this, right? It ends up peaking right here instead, and just couldn't do it. This wave doesn't count as anything because that's the day it was added to Poloniex, right? Where it just spiked up and gained a few good percentage. 1 second, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay, so we know that after it hits point C here, this is basically like a truncated 5th wave, right? Where the C doesn't really make it to right here at all, okay? It doesn't actually, we can start it right here even. Nah, yeah, I prefer here, it's more symmetric. So it tries to break out right here, but it couldn't, right? And because it couldn't do that, what we do is we call it an X position right here, okay? So this is called an X position right here, okay? And then we know that there's going to be some sort of Y position somewhere down there, okay? We know somewhere down over there, it's going to make an ABC correction that we're just going to randomly call it, not randomly, but we're going to choose a random spot and call it Y. And what we also know is that what happens, guys, if this was an X position, what is this? This is ABC, right? So we know that there's got to be an ABC correction in here somewhere as well, right? Where we go to the lowest point first that we see, and then the next highest point right there, okay? This will actually ended up being a bull trap, okay? But remember before where we had this particular position, the high point, okay? And then we drew a line right there, okay, guys? Right here, and surely enough, it hits the resistance, okay? Check out ETP, guys. What do you guys notice about ETP? We didn't take it from that point, but we took it from this B point instead. So this could have been a resistance right here, like that, right, somewhere. But instead, it ended up taking this particular point instead, right, where X just hit the top. Now take a look at this with the OmiseGo, guys. Look at this with OmiseGo. Did you guys notice something very similar, right? It ends up hitting a point here as well, right? Just like that, pretty much. If we look at, that's very, very close. If we go to like a daily chart, we'll see it a lot better as well, that could have easily been the resistance point, right? Just somewhere right around there. So it's not just coincidence that we do that. We can kind of get a gauge by taking the average of the highs and just going through it, which is kind of crazy actually when we look at it that way, right? So yeah, actually it was from this point right here, from point 5 is what I meant to say. And then we go down, and surely enough, it hits this particular point and couldn't break it, right? And because it couldn't break it now, because it couldn't break this particular resistance right there, we know that an ABC was going to form as well, okay, guys? Or this was basically point B right here. So yeah, we take the top points, right? And we just keep drawing lines across it. And that's how we end up getting resistances at the top there, okay? Now I'm gonna remove this, okay? Now we know that this is point A and that's point B. So we're just gonna label, I'm gonna delete it here. And now we're looking for a C point for the next lowest low, right? And surely enough, it was right here, A, B, and C, okay? Just like that. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, A, B, C, right? And then it tries to break out of it again. Now this point right here that we have is A, B, C, D, and E, where I previously called it A, right, B, C, D, and E. And surely enough, it tried to break out of it, right? And now from here, it tries to make its third wave going up like that, okay? It definitely tried, if you guys notice, right? It tried so hard to the point where it actually almost did do it, right? On the daily chart, we see it a lot better. Here we see a lot of bull breaks, right? And it attempts to make it, and it actually just ended up hovering right above the resistance line that is now a support for it. But surely enough, it fell back down to it, okay? So this actually didn't successfully break out of it at all, right? So because it didn't do that, we draw another line across it. We call this point X again, and it's getting smaller and smaller. Now, what we do know is this, guys, okay? What we do know is that for every top point, we have an ABC. For every X point, we have an ABC, right? And then right now, what we're gonna, oh, this is, by the way, I forgot to call it. This is called W, right? And this one right here is called Y, right here, okay? So this is a WXY correction, just like in the ETP that I showed you. And because it couldn't get to a higher one, we're now looking for an ABC correction in here. And unfortunately, we're gonna see some lower lows again, guys. I'm sorry to say, but we're gonna see some lower lows still, okay? I know that this bounced off of here already, and it was a really, really good point, but we also have to make note of the fact that it's doing exactly what we think it's going to do, which is the ABC correction, okay? So 1, 2, basically, and 3, 4, 5. So this one here formed a 1, 2, pretty much a 3, we'll just call it, okay? 4, and then 5. 5 small little subwaves in there. Does that make sense? If this is not point A, guys, then unfortunately, we're still going to get a lower low, and this is actually 0.4 right here. Does that make sense? Okay, so this could be point B right here. This could be point B if we're miscounting it, but if we're wrong, then this is still 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, okay? Right here like that. So if I look on the ETP chart, just for example, just to give you guys an idea, because this one's a little bit further ahead, right? This one made a A, B, and then the C is still coming down already. Now, if we look on OmiseGo, which is kind of in a very similar situation, right? So we don't really have the best wave count right now, unless I'm counting it wrong here. But this one got a higher high than it, so I will call that as 2. And we don't really have a wave 4, right? Like if I counted it like that, it's not really proportional, and I'm not really happy with this wave count. But that wave count could be right. But what I'm more confident about is this right here, okay? Right here. Notice that it tried to break the 55 EMA even on the 4-hour chart, and it failed so miserably. On the 2-hour chart, it could barely sustain it, and it came back. On a 4-hour chart, it couldn't even touch the 55 EMA. So what I'm betting on, guys, is this. An ABC correction is still going to go lower, unfortunately, okay? I'm betting on an ABC correction like that somewhere, and we can actually get a good gauge of how far it can go down. So let's take a look. So let's use our Fibonacci extension tool. Say we'll test this one, for example, from X to A to B. Actually, that's not a good point to test. Okay, I want to show you guys how easy it was actually to predict how we knew it would hit this point first, okay? Let me show you guys. I bet you it's going to hit a 1-to-1 ratio. If we take this point here, and then we take C, and then X here, pretty much a 1-to-1 ratio, right? Isn't that crazy how accurate that is, guys? Let's just do a little bit more accurate here. So it hit a 1-to-1 ratio of coming down to here. Now, this one had a lot of volume, but we noticed that the volume is slowly declining again already, right? So once again, I'm not sure if this is 0.3 or not, and then it's gonna come down a little bit more. But what I'm thinking is it's gonna test this support one more time again. One more time again, just like that right here, okay guys? But what could be, if it doesn't test this again as 0.5, okay, before it starts making its way up to B, and then finishing another correction at C. Like if you guys notice on the 4-hour chart, it couldn't even break into a bullish zone, okay guys? It needs to break into a bullish zone. And here, for example, this is this is an uptrend, guys, okay? Where it breaks into a bullish zone up here, okay? Notice every time it goes up, this goes into a more highish area. Not even a bullish zone, but it breaks out of the bearish zone. Here, it can't even break above 60. So it's really hard for us to assume that it's on an uptrend right now. And it's easier to assume that it's still making its way down to its final point A there. That is my guess. But I think if it does move down to A, it'll probably end up getting a double bottom like that, where it could just be around the $6 range again, guys. The $6 range. And then what'll happen, guys, is it will test our support level. And we're gonna, or a resistance level. And how do we get a resistance level? We take B and X, right? So we always take our resistance points, like I mentioned over here, right? For example, we took here and we drew it down. It's always testing a bunch of resistance points, right? So just take the 2 most relevant points, for example, and it could be even testing right here. See, notice when I draw a line from here to here, it tested that specific area, right? So we have 2 major test areas. One major test area is right here, the $6.59 range, okay guys? That's a major resistance area. And the reason why I was saying 6.9 in my wrap, and that's a great number ruined by a period, is because right here, okay, this right around here is around 6.9, okay? So this is the first test zone that it's making based on this. Okay, I'm gonna delete some lines. We don't need all of this shit here to make it clean, okay? This is the first region that it's testing. And the reason why is because it's a very relevant resistance point from this that it makes, right? From this point and that point. Now the next point that it would be testing is right here. 6.9, that's a really key number because if we actually look at it, right? There's many relevant points around the $6.9, $7 range, and that's so crucial. So if it can break this particular resistance, it's strong resistance right now, if you guys can see, right? If we can break it, it will test 6.9. And then if it can break that, it's gonna test the next relevant point right over here around 750, okay? So we're doing a lot of tests right now. So I'm gonna go over this again. I think that this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and it will make one more right here. And then after that, it will do its A, B, C correction. It's gonna go A, and then B, I'm guessing, and then C. It's gonna test it. Look at ETP just as an example, okay? Right here, guys. It broke below the resistance. Imagine if this line right here was 6.9, okay? If this line was 6.9, it broke below it, and then it did its A, B, C test right at the resistance line, right? But it didn't do that. It didn't break it. So what it did was it came back down to that level where it was at, around the $6 range. We'll pretend it was OmiseGo. You can't even tell what chart this is, right? It looks like OmiseGo to me, right guys? It really does look like an OmiseGo chart. So it came down here, tried to test the resistance with an A, B, C correction, right? And then it came back down here to point C, right? So from A to B, there's an A, B, C right here. And it couldn't, and this ended up being the B point, and then it came down to C and Z. And then once it gets down to this $3 range, guys, man, I was so accurate with this prediction. And then it's gonna try once again to break its way out. If we look at right here, OmiseGo kind of bottomed out already, whereas ETP didn't, so it still has a lot of room to go. Now on Bitfinex, OmiseGo, it definitely did bottom out, right? On the one day chart, it made a really nice candle right here actually, okay? This candle is a beautiful candle that OmiseGo formed. I think I'm on the wrong one. No, I'm on the right one. So this is more like an indecisive candle, but it would have been a lot nicer if it didn't get pushed back down here that day. But now we're getting a huge red candle for the day. That's why I can't help but think it's going to keep coming down. So, but once again, like, you know, if I'm wrong with my, let's take a look at it on a different time frame, okay? Let's pretend that this was 3, this was 4, and this was 5 to give it a more conservative approach, okay? Now, what we're going to do is call this point A, this point B, right? And this point C right here. And let's just say that was right, okay, guys? So what it tried to do was break this first resistance, but it couldn't even do it, okay? We'll just call this a really small 5th wave here. Okay, just assuming that it is. It tried to break this resistance, but it got shut down. On ETP, the main one was actually this one. So if this one was now right, okay, and we actually are still bearishly diverging downwards, because we got double top here pretty much, if you guys notice, right? 1 top, 2 top right there. On the 1 hour chart, we couldn't even get high. We couldn't even get high to a big area. So that's how you know this is a very, very, very relevant resistance right now. And if this happened, guys, right? So we'd be looking at here. This would be point A. This would be point, right? So this is A. This is point B right here. There's still got to be a point C somewhere, guys. That's exactly what ETP is doing right now, right? Now this one, never mind you, it could be very small, for example, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like this right here. But what I do believe is it will make another test, guys, unfortunately. It's going to make another test before we get to a huge uptrend. Because you know what? We tried even on a high time frame here, or on a low time frame rather, to break above the 55 EMA. But look at what happened, guys. It got shot back down right away. Yeah, as you guys see exactly what I'm talking about, right? So even on a 2 hour or even a 45-minute time frame, let's see. Nope, it can't even sustain above a 55 EMA. So how could we assume that it's in an uptrend, right, guys? On the 30-minute chart, we can't even stay above the 55 moving average, which is a really bad sign if it can't even stay above the 55 moving average. So if you guys entered a position earlier, that would have been obviously a great position to enter, right? You would have entered a position right here because of this confirmation of the huge volume right there. You would have entered a position right here, and you would have targeted this resistance formed by these points coming down here. And you could have got into a really good, nice risk to reward ratio, and you could have gained a 17%. Now, where do we go from here? Unfortunately, I do think we're going to get another 5 small waves down right here, and we're going to test this point again probably, because nothing, guys, can even break close, okay, guys? It can't even break close right now to staying above any moving averages. So I really do believe it's going to make its way down to point C here, but this point Z is also where WXYZ ended. So WXYZ ended right here. We're probably going to be just hovering and teetering above or below this resistance line right here. And then once it hits this range again of 570, now I could be completely wrong, right? We're going to finally bounce and break this resistance, and then we're going to test the 6.9 level, okay? 6.9 level, and then if we break this zone right here, then we're going to basically get back into this where this wedge was right there. Now, if it hits this point again as a support, and there's strong support there, I'm definitely going to enter a day trading position or even a swing trading position and just do this right here like that. Okay? And that's a really good risk to reward ratio of 20% gain. So if it makes sense, guys, enter that position if you guys think the risk is worth it, okay? So that's kind of my two cents right now on OmiseGo. I think it's going to come down to an A position. I think it's going to make its way up to B and then finish a WXY correction again. And I'm going to leave my chart just like this right here. And I'll follow up with it in a few days, okay? Follow up with it in a few days and we'll go from there. So I think it's going to hit around 575 again, right? I really do. And I think it's going to basically make a double bottom, guys, okay? A nice little double bottom like that. Doesn't it look like it's going to make it already? And then we try to start wave 3 going out of here and break out. So Yeah, so I'm not gonna wait, I'm not gonna short it. I'm definitely waiting to see what kind of potential this has and see if it has a double bottom first, because I'm excited about a 20% gain. Okay, and we have to break this major resistance right here, the one I'll make purple for you guys to see, or pink, whatever. This big line right here. We could not break it here. We couldn't break it here even, and because we couldn't break it, the bears have now officially given up. So we are downtrending, guys. Let's look for some more confirmation of downtrends, okay, guys? On a 2-hour chart, bearish divergence. Would you guys agree? Right? 30-minute chart, this might go up a little bit right now, but it's only going up a little bit because this might be yeah, this is 1, 2, 3. It's making its 4th subwave in here right now. 1, 2, 3, 4 makes its 4th subwave, and then down. And then this one will be like an A, B, C. This one will be higher. And then we get 5 waves coming down here again, right? Always 5 subwaves within an impulse motive wave down like that for the correction, right? And then here we get 5 small wave subwaves again, like that, something like that, okay? Just to give you guys an idea of how it could look right there. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. That's going to make a double bottom. And when we just actually look at the structure of correction waves down, right? If we draw a line, what does it look like, guys? Looks like a double bottom, right? And that's how double bottoms are formed. So when we approach it from an Elliott Wave perspective, that's exactly how a double bottom is formed, guys. I'm hoping for a double bottom, as we all are. If it approaches the 570 range again, 560, I'm 100% going to go into a long position. I will maybe put my stop loss around 550 or so. If there's a lot of confirmation, right, guys? I'll put my stop loss at 550. I'm going to shoot to break this resistance first of all, of course. And the next major resistance would be 6.94 about. So I'm going to shoot for 6.94. I'll probably minimize my risk by taking profit if it gets close to there. And then if it breaks out of there again, I'll probably enter another position because we'll then try to shoot for, you know, this wedge range right here that we'll try to break out of. So right now, there's definitely some opportunity, right, guys? There's some opportunity to go short. I mean, look at it right here, okay? Look at it right now. It's still down ticking pretty hard right now, right? I'm not a financial advisor in any way. Don't get me wrong. But we are definitely seeing some bearish momentum still, right? Even on the 30-minute chart, we're seeing some bearish momentum as well, right? On a 15-minute chart, it can't even break above 50 to 60 RSI. So how could I assume anything otherwise that it seems like it's going to go down more? So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed my wrap for the day as well. If you guys haven't subscribed to me, you know, on Twitter, blah, 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 etc., follow me on Twitter, follow me on YouTube, buy me a cup of coffee, and send me a tip or something, guys, because I love my coffee. Actually, I'd probably go buy my doggy some treats or something like that. But you guys know I will never make any fucking videos where I will charge you guys for anything for content. Everything I do is for purely out of love for you guys. So have a great day and enjoy the weekend.